It's been barely 24 hours since news about the Chief Justice of Nigeria, former Chief Justice, as he now is, Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, resigning his position on health grounds, made the headlines. Reacting to the development in a statement on Monday, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olumide Akpata, commended former CJN Muhammad for his lengthy service to the nation and wished him quick recovery. Mr. Akpata, however, added that the CJN's resignation could not be divorced from the raging crisis in the Supreme Court, with the 14 other justices of the court accusing him of poor handling of the affairs of the court. Another story in the news that has generated mixed reactions around the country will be the qualifications of All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu has told the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, that his academic certificates were stolen by unknown persons while he was on self-exile. The question now is if this can serve as a valid reason to overlook his certificate issues as a contest for the highest office in the land. Joining us on this show right now, this morning, as we discuss these issues, and also the question of placeholders by political parties in the current electoral process, is Dele Farotimi, a lawyer and political activist. Welcome to the morning show, Dele Farotimi.
Good morning, Doc. Thank you very much for having me.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Well, very quickly, let's start with the yes,
Rufy.
Yeah, they can hear you. Okay.
Good morning.
Let's start with the resignation of the former CJN, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad. There have been many angles to this. He says he was resigning on health grounds, well, which is a legitimate ground. Some people say no, he didn't willingly resign. He was pushed and he had to jump in the light of recent developments in the Supreme Court. What do you think about some of those assumptions? And what will be your assessment of his period as Chief Justice of Nigeria?
Good morning again, Doc. See, our problems are much deeper than some of these our analysis, but let's say this first. Justice Tanko had no business in that office in the first place. Not that Onogan himself was exactly a saint or anything, but the process of his appointment had already compromised his position. He was a child of illegality. He was a child of usurpation. General Buhari took upon himself duties that he had no business with, and he unilaterally, more or less, removed a CJN and imposed the current one. It is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria that a CJN would emerge in the manner that Justice Tanko emerged, but it is also completely unprecedented that the entire bench of the Supreme Court would write a letter in protest against the CJN that would become the subject of public consumption. But then, that has become the lot of the Nigerian in recent times. What shouldn't happen struts around boldly in broad daylight. Abnormalities have become normal. And that is how we roll in our country now. So that Justice Tanko found the good grace to use his undoubted bad health, because that has been in the public space for some time, as the, well, shall we say let's just say it was a gracious exit from a very, very ungracious situation. At least he saved everybody the embarrassment and he's left. That is not to say anything is about to change in the issue of justice delivery. It's about the system that allowed the emergence of such a man in the first place. But again, that is exactly the kind of thing the system wants and enables. So it's a system issue, just another man sacrificed by the system when it became patently unsustainable. Not that the next one will be any different or any better when it comes to the issue of justice delivery. Thank you.
Thank you, Dele. Well, You said he had a gracious exit. It was quite different from Justice Onogans. If I'm going to, quote a stage direction from William Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale, he exits the stage pursued by a bear. What do you make of the fact that in spite of that leaked memo and the really serious allegations therein, nobody seems to be pursuing Justice Tanko Muhammad as of now? It does appear that he is going to be allowed to go gently into the night. I'd like your comments on that. And also, Dr. Abati made a point about his legacy. It doesn't appear that you feel that there was much in terms of his legacy, but when we look at, for example, decisions that were passed, practice directions, is there anything that stands out to you?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only thing I can say for Justice Tanko, which is why I spoke about a gracious exit, really, is that you need to first of all understand that Nigeria does not function on accountability. Nothing would ever happen to Justice Tanko. How can? Nothing will ever happen to him. Did anything happen to Onoge beyond the fact that he was removed? This is the way we roll. We always find a way to settle it. We settle it. You understand? Nothing will happen to him. They will find it's a family affair. It only leaked out because it was not equitably handled within the coven. That's why me and you became privy to letters. This is not, is a system that is not designed to run on law. It's an administration of impunity. So to expect that any sort of accounting would happen in relation to Justice Tanko is a complete waste of time. Nothing happened to Magu. Nothing happened to that lady at the Nigerian Port Authority. Nothing ever happens to them. It's the poor and the disadvantaged that the law exists for. So it's yet another example of the level of impunity that has become exposed in the reign of General Buhari. It's not that these things were not happening before. They've just become more commonplace because it's just the way it has become. Everything that shouldn't happen is happening. And that's what you are saying. So nothing will happen to Tanko. He will ride gracefully into the night. He will enjoy his retirement in peace. So it's not about Tanko, it's about the system. The system that allowed this, enables it, mollycoddles it, protects it, allows it to continue. It's not for the average man. It's just the way it is. Nothing will happen to Tanko.
Wow. So if people don't pay for whatever allegations anyway and supposed infractions, then how do we build a system? How do we build a country? Because if things are just allowed to go this way, then what kind of judiciary are we to have?
What kind of judiciary? We don't have a judiciary that is designed to dispense justice. Our judicial system is designed to manage impunity. Oh, people account quite all right, but it's the poor that account disproportionately. A man steals a goat, he spends years in jail. A man steals billions, accountant, oh please. Look, it's a system that is not designed. So if you are talking about building a country, do we look like we are building any country? There is nothing about Nigeria to suggest that a country is being built. I came into the States a couple of days back. I had to ask myself why I always come back to Nigeria when I have the opportunity to leave that place. We are not building anything sustainable. Everybody else is racing towards civilization and we are regressing. Nigeria is better in my youth than today. And I don't even see a future because we are building based on impunity on a daily basis. You don't want to even talk about building a country. If anything, Nigeria is being systematically destroyed. Systematically, its infrastructures, whether it's security infrastructure, even the unity of the country, as illusory as it was always anyway, is being the fault lines are being deliberately opened up. People in power in Nigeria are determined to destroy the country. It's the common people that fight to keep Nigeria one. It's not the rulers. They don't even live in Nigeria. So if you're talking about building a country, you first of all need to ask yourself, how come we've been shouting anti-corruption for years? This general in power now, he came into power on account of an anti-corruption crusade. He fooled everybody into believing it. How many people who have been either charged or proven to be completely complicit in all manner of sickening corruption sits in that cabinet? Nothing will happen because we have not built a country where people are held accountable for what they do, not for stealing money, not for killing people, not for anything. We have not built a country like that. And the people who are supposed to be the citizens, the followers, we are no different from the ones we are following. You see thieves and yet you applaud.
Well,
we're not building a country.
Yesterday, President Buhari swore in an acting Chief Justice of the Federation, the most senior, Justice of the Court after they departed the CJN that resigned. That's Justice Soluka de Ariwola. And many people have been saying that the main task before him is to reform the judiciary, starting with the Apex court. I know you may say, well, it won't be able to change anything, but well, the NBA, many lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria, and even civil society groups believe that judiciary created under Section 6 of the Nigerian Constitution needs to be transformed, needs to be reformed. Some of the issues raised were about budgetary provisions, funds management, welfare, the composition of the National Judicial Council, the over-centralization of the Supreme Court, and all of that. What kind of reforms would you like to see? And do you think that those reforms are possible?
Doc, I do not know Justice Ariwola as a person, but I'm familiar with his work, having been connected with a case he was involved with. And I can say this as a fact, I don't expect anything substantial to change in relation to justice delivery. Because one of the most violent injustices I've ever seen coming out of that Supreme Court came from a panel on which this particular justice sat twice. The case is Badamasi Eletu versus Akinloye. That is one of the most unusual cases I have ever seen in my life, where the Supreme Court turned itself into mathematicians, subtracting and dividing land, deciding on a case on a property that was not before it. So when it comes to expecting any justice from that court, I don't expect any, not because of his person, but not already, as far as I'm concerned, his own person is either he's incompetent or he's corrupt, one or the other. These are grievous allegations and I'm making them carefully. As far as I am concerned, when it comes to the issue of justice delivery, I do not believe that anything will change. That's as far as that is concerned. When you now begin to deal with the technicalities of rules of court, administration of court, well, maybe you might perform some magic in that regard, but insofar as it relates to delivery of justice, I expect nothing.
Oh dear. So what does this change of guard portend for the elections next year, if anything at all?
Look, our situation is one of, we're looking at a man with leprosy. And when you're looking at that man with leprosy, you're now talking about his deceased fingers. What about his neck? It's the whole of Nigeria that has serious issues, not just the judiciary. We pretend to have a judiciary that delivers justice, but it does not. So that Justice Ariwola will become the CJ, and it changes nothing. It's the same way it was with Tanko before him, with Onoge before him. The poor will continue to get the short end of the stick when it comes to justice delivery. Those who know how to negotiate the corridors of the Lord Justices, they'll get their way. And the poor man on the street will continue to suffer injustice because Nigeria is designed to ensure that the law does not work, but impunity is managed.
Okay. I am more concerned about the plight of our justices magistrates, those that run and dispense justice in the country, that somebody once wrote in an article, in fact, it was on Braithwaite, and she talked about how some of them use public transport because they don't have cars of their own. And we know what that means in Nigeria. So are you telling me now that this will not change anything? And are you telling me now that Justice Ariwola will not be a breath of fresh air? Are you telling me now he's not going to hit the ground running? Are you telling me that no hope for our judiciary?
Rufai, you're looking at the fittings in the house, the color the house has been painted, the curtains. I'm looking at the superstructure. The purpose of a judiciary is the delivery of justice. If you look to the police sector, they vote money for painting police stations every day. There are monies for uniform, but the policeman still buys his rank and epaulets, everything, he buys them himself. So that the judicial officers are having to jump buses or take Uber is not, I'm not sure that is a function of paucity of funds per se. Because if that were to be the case, you probably would never have seen the letters written, the memo written by the justices. So it's actually a function of a prioritization of issues, the welfare. If it's a function of there being no funds, it becomes easier to explain. But when you have a situation where the CJ becomes not just at the federal level, at each level in the states, they are the more or less like the ones who dispense, I believe, or maybe it's the chief registrar, but they have their funds. Their funds are meant to come from the consolidated funds. It might very well be that because of the adverse economic situation, which hasn't affected the legislators or affected the executive, might very well be that they are getting less funds than they were expected to be getting. But I do not believe that a paucity of fund is the reason why you are seeing what you have described. Now, would things change? It is very possible that Justice Ariwola is a better administrator, perhaps maybe even better at playing the collegiate game and carrying the rest along and ensuring that their welfare is generally better provided for. That's very possible. But my own preoccupation is essentially with justice delivery. Does this mean that the Nigerian who has been kept down by the judicial system, who spends years waiting for justice, whilst injustice proliferates, would he get a better deal? He says, no. No. But would the judiciary be better administered? Most likely, especially after this kind of opera. But as I have said, that is for the judiciary and their internal issues. But when it comes to justice delivery for the average Nigerian, I don't see anything changing until Nigeria itself changes. It's not about a person coming to head the apex court. All you can do is take care of the apex court. Maybe the justices would be less restive. And if they have issues within, maybe they would have better mechanism for managing the crises within. That's the only thing you can expect. But when it comes to substantive justice, getting to the Nigerian, nothing.
Dele, we seem to be running out of time, but two quick issues within the short time available to us. People have been talking about the certificate issues involving the APC presidential standard bearer, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He says, well, his primary school, secondary school certificates are not available. Either they were stolen or he didn't complete either primary school or secondary school. But he has a certificate from the University of Chicago. And online, people have approached the school to ask for the certificate. The school has confirmed that he has a university degree and that he graduated with a BSc in accounting. Don't you think that more or less settles the matter? Is it compulsory that somebody must go to primary school or secondary school? Can't you just fill the form and say, this is what I have? I have a degree.
Well, we have this funny way of analyzing issues in Nigeria. We dance around the issues. When people are demanding Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's primary school certificate and his secondary school certificate, it is a question of character, not certification. If it were to be about certification, General Buhari has already destroyed that bar. So it's not as if anybody can produce something less than he has already produced, which is virtually nothing. So the demand for Asiwaju's primary school certificate is because I believe there was something about a school, a lawyer or something like that.
Yes,
which has
school, lawyer Lagos.
Exactly. So when you already have that controversy trailing him, and then you had GCI, Government College Ibadan, and it wasn't until I was told somebody asked what set it belonged to. So you have a man whose background is shrouded in mystery. You can't say what is. There are even issues surrounding the name. So you have issues. All these issues are the ones masquerading as the demand for certificates. But I actually think that the issue goes a whole lot deeper than that. It's about what kind of society we have. Who are we as a people? A man has been governor twice. He has been blessed sufficiently. People don't like me saying he has ruled Lagos for 23 years, but to a very large extent, Lagos has been his fiefdom. And all these allegations have dug the step all this while. And yet, at every point, we have found the grace as a people, at least in Lagos State. And we've continued to mollycoddle this. Now, all of a sudden, everybody is now demanding primary school certificates, secondary school certificates. I'm not too sure that these aren't just distractions. The man has retained excellent counsel, and they've made clear that he has not violated any laws. I think we should begin to deal with the substantive issues of character, integrity. Who are we dealing with? What's your name? What's your age? Who are you? Who are you? These are the issues, not certificates. People will just focus on these technicalities and they'll be arguing it from now till tomorrow. Who are you? Who went to primary schools with you? I know the people I went to secondary schools with, Fidelity Grammar School, they know me. They have my nicknames. People I went to primary school with, I still know one or two of them. There are a lot about all of us that we don't like people knowing or that we cover. But at the end of the day, the substance of who you are as a person must be known, especially when you are seeking this kind of office. As decrepit as the office has been rendered, it does not change the fact that that is still the person who is us. So if you are going to be us, who are you?
Well, I suppose, have we run out of time, or do we still have?
Well, I have 2 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. I did it. Right, so my question is going back to the Supreme Court and that entire fiasco. Now we recall, obviously, very distinctly, the end of Walter Onoge's story as CJN of Nigeria, but also recall the beginning. There was a huge hoo-ha, huge drama about how President Buhari did not forward his name to the Senate as is required by the Constitution for confirmation, and he was acting CJN for 3 months, and that 3 months almost expired before he was finally confirmed by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. Do you envisage any such issues this time around, or do you think it's going to be smooth sailing this time around?
General Buhari is a lame duck now. The time when he was raging all over the place like a bull, trying to determine the direction of every appointment, I think he's calming down now. He's in the last days of his presidency. And I also don't expect him to be caught in further disaster and controversy. So I expect that this one will go through. I don't expect him to start monkeying about again, but who knows? Never can really predict the man, but I don't really expect anything spectacular this time around.
Well,
even if you see the resignation and everything, you see that they've already reached agreements within the coven, so they know what they are doing.
Well, thank you very much, Dele Farotimi. I see you are in Maryland, the United States.
Running away from all of you.
Well, once upon a time, I used to go to school somewhere there.
Far from the maddening crowd.
You'll be back.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, you can't keep me away.
Thank you very much indeed.